But y'all go to Moneybagg Yo's side of town while having a diss song out about Moneybagg.
Yeah.
But whole time, allegedly, right? Y'all were set up to come during this time.
Right.
And y'all know how dangerous it was. And y'all still decided to go.
Finesse 2 times just stepped over a boundary that has the entire city of Memphis on high alert. This friction with Moneybagg Yo is rapidly escalating into something far more dangerous than a standard rap rivalry. Beyond the fame and the fortune, these two were once as close as brothers coming up in the trenches. However, the tension has peaked now that Finesse is targeting Moneybagg's partner Ari in his lyrics. Anyone familiar with Memphis street politics knows that's exactly how legitimate conflicts ignite. The jarring reality behind their falling out is much more layered than the public realizes. And we're diving into every detail from lopsided bread gang contracts and street allegiances to young Dolph drama and internal betrayals. This entire dynamic is a powder keg on the verge of detonating, and we've gathered all the proof. Before we dissect this chaotic situation, let's be completely honest. Social media is fixated on their recent back and forth, but most fans are clueless about their actual history. They don't know about the grueling studio sessions, the collective they formed, or how deep their bond ran before the collapse. We are about to distinguish the facts from the rumors and the truth from the acting. Between 2012 and 2013 is when the foundation was really laid. Finesse 2 times Moneybagg Yo, Black Youngster, and a few other local artists formed a group called MGU, Memphis Grinders Underrated. These guys weren't just colleagues. They were young brothers from the same blocks trying to find a way out, hitting every club, promoting tracks, and selling hand-burned CDs at Walmart. This was long before the fame, the millions, or the bitterness. But even in those early days, there were red flags. Finesse has gone on record saying Moneybagg was always the more calculated one. When they were out promoting or handling business, Bagg was often the first to head home, avoiding the more reckless activities. Now, that's not inherently a flaw in it. Everyone is cut out for that environment, and that's fair. But in the context of Memphis street culture, that clash in personalities was destined to cause friction. Everything changed when Finesse was sent to prison. During his incarceration, both Moneybagg Yo and Black Youngster's careers skyrocketed. Youngster got his deal, Bagg got his, and the city watched them become stars. Meanwhile, Finesse was behind a wall, forced to watch his former crew succeed without him. It's important to note that when Finesse finally touched down, he already had momentum. Get Train was hitting 6 figures in views, and his SoundCloud was buzzing. He was already a force before reconnecting with Money, but Bagg reached out and signed him to Bread Gang, his imprint under Yo Gotti's CMG from the outside. It looked like a brotherly gesture, a friend helping a friend get ahead, but the reality was far more cynical. Finesse recently touched on this, explaining that he joined Bread Gang to promote a message of unity for Memphis. He's naturally loyal and felt it was the right move for the city, but he didn't realize he was walking into a professional trap. According to several insiders, including Finesse's brother, No Love, Moneybagg was heavily leaning on Finesse's creative output. Whenever Bagg was stuck on a verse or lacked inspiration in the booth, he'd call Finesse in to finish the job. Finesse was giving his best work, under the impression that this was genuine brotherhood. Looking back, he sees it was less about family and more about what he could provide for Bagg's brand. This story gets even deeper than just industry politics, though. The true breaking point involved the young Dolph situation, a piece of Memphis street history that outsiders often misunderstand. Moneybagg Yo and young Dolph had a notorious, well-documented beef. They were on completely different sides of the city's political divide. Finesse, however, had a relationship with Dolph that started way before the industry drama. According to No Love, Dolph had made some disparaging remarks about MGU and the crew. Finesse, being fiercely loyal, went on a live stream and threatened Dolph in defense of Moneybagg and the team. He was putting his neck on the line for his people, despite his personal history with Dolph. But the twist is that Moneybagg didn't appreciate the gesture. Instead of seeing it as loyalty, Bagg was frustrated that Finesse even spoke up. Why? Because at that very moment, Moneybagg had a feature with Dolph on I Need a Plug. That collab was a massive catalyst for Bagg's career, leading into All Gas No Brakes and his biggest hits. In Finesse's mind, he was going to war for his brother, risking heat from Dolph's camp, while Moneybagg was quietly doing business with the opposition. That was the moment Finesse knew things were off. They eventually held a meeting with several North Memphis OGs to hash it out. Finesse stood his ground, explaining he only reacted because his crew was disrespected. Moneybagg, however, was in his feelings, claiming Finesse was being reckless and hurting his bottom line. That's when Finesse realized that IB Bagg, the business, and the money would always outweigh the brotherhood. Now we have to address the Bread Gang contract, which is where things got truly ugly. Finesse has talked about this several times, and you can hear the genuine hurt in his voice. He felt trapped in a deal that offered him no real benefit, claiming Moneybagg wasn't supporting his releases the way a CEO should. When you sign to a label, the expectation is that they will invest in your growth and push your projects. but Finesse felt he was being intentionally sidelined. In one interview, Finesse revealed he was told one day that his contract was simply balled up, effectively over, without a real sit-down or professional discussion. For someone who invested his loyalty and talent into Bread Gang, it was a massive disrespect. He even admitted he wished the business side could have worked, because a joint project between the two would have been a historic moment for Memphis. But the core of the hurt is Finesse's belief that Moneybagg is traumatized by their past and can't see the man Finesse has become. Finesse has been honest about his past mistakes and how his flaws have cost him good friends, including Baggy's admitted he was still maturing and that his street instincts sometimes clashed with industry standards. The most shocking revelation was when Finesse claimed Moneybagg is essentially scared to deal with him, fearing Finesse might revert to his old ways. Even though Finesse maintains he would never move that way toward Bagg, the foundation of trust is gone. Once the business ties were severed, the fallout went public and it got incredibly messy. It all started when Moneybagg unfollowed Finesse on Instagram. To a normal person, that might seem petty, but when you have millions of eyes on you, unfollowing a former partner is a loud public statement. In the world of social media, that's a blatant act of disrespect. Finesse didn't just sit back and take it. He hopped on a live stream to address the situation, calling out Bagg for being overly emotional and taking shots through his posts. You have to remember, Finesse has been rooted in the streets his entire life. He isn't the type to dodge a confrontation. He made it crystal clear that he stands on his own 2 feet, doesn't hide behind anyone, and if there's a conflict brewing, he's ready to face it head on. In one of his initial outbursts regarding the falling out, Finesse aired out some very personal grievances. He detailed how he was the one providing the lyrical backbone in the studio when Bagg was stuck, and how he was out there doing the heavy lifting while Bagg played it safe. He even went as far as to challenge Bagg's street credentials in a city like Memphis. That's one of the deepest insults you can throw at someone who has built their entire brand on that persona. Yet, in those same moments, Finesse showed flashes of maturity. He'd occasionally catch himself mid-rant and dial it back, explaining that his goal was to help the culture and show love to his city. He acknowledged that because his name is Finesse, people assume he's always playing an angle, but he insisted he was genuinely trying to build something real. For a while, the back and forth remained on social media, subliminal captions and indirect jabs, staying mostly within the boundaries of a competitive rap rivalry. It was tense, but not necessarily light, until now. This brings us to the massive problem at hand. Finesse 2 times recently shared a snippet of a song where he takes a direct shot at Moneybagg Yo's girl, Ari. If you understand the unwritten rules of Memphis street politics, you know that is a boundary you never cross. In that culture, targeting a man's woman isn't just a lyrical jab. It's a declaration of war. It signals a complete lack of respect for the man and his household, and it pushes the conflict to a point where there's no turning back. This has moved far beyond the booth. This is now deeply personal. The word on the street is that Finesse took it way too far. You can criticize a man's music, his bankroll, or even his reputation, but when you drag his woman into the line of fire, people get hurt. That's the point where social media arguments transform into real-world consequences. And let's be real about Arish. Has her own massive platform and brand. Dragging her into this mess forces her into a conflict she didn't sign up for and puts Moneybagg in a position where he almost has to react aggressively just to maintain his respect. For those who track the culture, this feels eerily similar to how some of the most tragic feuds in Memphis history began. It starts with a song, escalates to personal insults, and ends in violence. Whether it's the Young Dolph tragedy or the various ongoing tensions across the city, the pattern is always the same. Finesse has been candid about his evolution, admitting he was wrong in certain spots and acknowledging that he let his street instincts sabotage his business. He even admitted that Moneybagg was trying to mentor him and show him how to navigate more strategically, but he just wasn't ready to listen at the time. That level of self-reflection is rare. However, Finesse simultaneously feels betrayed. He feels he gave his undying loyalty to someone who viewed him as a tool to be used, rather than a brother to be elevated. He feels he stood up for Bagg, publicly potentially putting a target on his own back while Bagg was making calculated business moves behind the scenes. Now that the bridge is burned, he feels like he wasted years that should have been spent building his own kingdom. From Moneybagg's perspective, his side makes sense too. He's built a massive empire with high-stakes deals and is currently one of the biggest names in the industry. He can't afford to have someone in his circle who is unpredictable or who attracts street drama to his corporate interests. He has too much on the line. But by cutting Finesse off so abruptly, by not supporting his music and unfollowing him so publicly, Bagg turned a man who wanted to be his brother into a bitter enemy. And now, that enemy is willing to break codes that could make this situation fatal. Think about that for a second. This isn't just rap beef anymore. We are looking at two men with deep street ties, significant resources, and immense pride. This is Memphis, a place where conflicts don't just stay on the internet. We're talking about a situation where a single verse about the wrong person could trigger A chain of events that changes lives forever. We've seen this movie before. The culture has lost far too many stars to beefs that outgrew the music. The terrifying part is that both Finesse and Moneybagg are surrounded by people ready to move if things escalate. They both have images to uphold, and in Memphis, your word is your bond. What makes this even more volatile is that Finesse feels he has nothing left to lose. He's already done his time, he lost his deal, and he's been written off. That makes a person unpredictable, and arguably more dangerous than someone trying to protect a fortune. On the flip side, Moneybagg has everything to lose: his status, his wealth, and his family, which might make him feel he needs to react even more decisively to protect what he's built. It's a lose-lose scenario that could spiral out of control in an instant. Ultimately, the clash between Finesse 2x and Moneybagg Yo isn't just about two rappers arguing. It's a case study in what happens when loyalty crashes into business, when street codes meet industry politics, and when brothers turn into rivals. It's a reflection of a dangerous culture of disrespect that can turn a song into a tragedy. The real question is, will anyone step in to mediate before this turns deadly? Will cooler heads prevail, or is Memphis about to lose more talent to a senseless feud? And more importantly, when will we as a community stop cheering for this conflict and start valuing growth and moving forward? What's your take on the Finesse and Moneybagg situation? Do you think Finesse crossed a line by mentioning Ari? Could this have been handled differently? Share your thoughts in the comments and make sure to subscribe, as we'll be keeping a close eye on this story. Stay safe out there.